everyone, Danielle here for Neat and Tangled's November 2013 release week. This week we have 4 new stamp sets. They're all 4x6. There's 1 digital stamp, which is new, and there will be 1 new variety pack of sequins available as well. So lots of stuff happening this week. Be sure to stop by every day. Every day there's going to be a giveaway. And all you have to do is comment, just leave a comment to be entered to win. And if you want sort of extra chances to win, you can leave multiple comments if you do things like follow us on Facebook and Twitter and tweet about the release and things like that. It's been a while since I've done these release week videos. I wasn't sure if people enjoyed watching them. I know people did, but I stopped doing them, and I got a bunch of emails and people asking me if I would do the videos again just because they found it helpful when they could actually see the stamp stamped out on a card front. Not even me making a card necessarily, but maybe just explaining, how I thought of the stamps and different ways to use them and things like that. So I thought, well, you know what, I will do it. I enjoy making them, so I am going to be here every day. Probably not Friday, since Friday is a digital stamp and it's just 1 stamp, but I'll be here definitely Monday through Thursday showing you the stamp set for the day, kind of how I came up with it, what my ideas for using it were, and just giving you some reference as to the size of the different sentiments and images. And so I will go ahead and get started. Today's 4x6 set is called Everyday Labels, and it was very much inspired by my label maker. One day I was making a bunch of labels for some folders, and I don't know, I really like the clean graphic look of a nice label, and I thought, why don't I make some stamps that kind of look like labels? And so that's where this was born. And so you'll see here that it's kind of hard to see on camera just because the stamps, I think the shadow, I'm filming at night, which is a terrible idea, but I'm last minute, so that's what happens in this house. But if you look at the actual image of the full stamp set just above this video, you'll be able to see them very clearly. But there are lots of different words on here so that you can combine them to create your own custom sentiments. So you could do happy birthday to you, wishing you a happy birthday, sorry, miss you, hello, just because I love you, congratulations. The possibilities are endless with combining the words on here to create your own sentiments, whether it's for the front of your card or the inside of the card, or you could start it on the front and continue it to the inside. Lots of different options. And don't feel limited to just using this for sentiments. You could also really build some neat graphic backgrounds using these blocks as well. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually only gonna stamp out 1 or 2 of these, because I think after that you'll pretty much get the idea of how they work. So I'm gonna stamp 1 by itself, and then I'm gonna stamp 2 of them together and show you how you can line them up really easily if you wanted to stamp them straight. I think it's kind of fun when you stamp them kind of like topsy-turvy to get a kind of fun, funky look, but if you wanted to really make it kind of precise and straight, I can show you a very easy way to do that with these stamps. Obviously the length of the stamps is going to vary just depending on how big the word is, but the height of the stamps, how tall they are, they're all the same size. They're about 1/2 inch, so you do have the ability to line them up if you did want to stamp them in a straight line. You can very easily line them up so that they look very uniform. So I'll go ahead and I will show you how to do that. So I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock, actually a card. I had folded it, and then per usual I got my ink fingers all over it, so I can't use it, so I'm going to use it today to just kind of show you some examples. And I'm going to stamp happy by itself just so you can see 1 by itself, and then I'm going to stamp happy birthday together and show you how you can line the individual stamps up to create that sentiment. So first up is happy, and these look really great when you stamp them in color. It's fun that they're separate, like the words are separated too, because you could do happy birthday in 2 different colors. You could do happy in green and birthday in purple, or you know, whatever color combination you wanted to do. Or you could stamp them in the same color. You could also stamp them and heat emboss them. That would look really fun. I think Katie did a card in black and white that is really striking. And she had embossed one of them, heat embossed one of them in white, and it just really popped on the page. So lots of things you can do. It would be cool, I think, to maybe emboss them in clear and do some distress ink over them or some spray mists. So lots of options. You don't have to just think like inside the box with these. You can do lots of different things, not just, you know, plain old black sentiments like like I'm showing you right now. And so there's the happy, and you can see that even just the happy by itself, especially when it's stamped in black, they're decent size, because this is, you know, this is what your standard card front would look like. They're a good size, and they're not going to get lost on the front of the card, especially if you stamp them in a bold color. Now, obviously, if you wanted it more subtle, you could stamp it in a lighter ink, and it would look softer. But if you're looking for a really standout sentiment, you can achieve that look very easily by using, you know, dark ink. It's definitely going to pop off the page. Now I'm going to show you how you can very easily line them up. I just have a piece of scrap paper here. And there are obviously a few ways you could approach this. I'm a lazy stamper, admittedly, and so normally what I would do is I would probably just take them and attempt to line them up as straight as I could and cross my fingers and then pick them up and stamp them, and 9 times out of 10 it probably wouldn't be straight and I would get angry and I would get my ruler out anyway. So I'm just gonna skip the lazy way of doing it and get right to the way that would make it easier and much more precise. So all you need is a ruler or something with a straight edge that you could line these up on, and all you have to do is, you know, plop your ruler down or whatever you're using, and then take your stamps and just kind of slide them up against the ruler. Now, word to the wise, and also note about the spacing. I've found that the best spacing for these is actually if you butt them right up against each other, because as you know, with your photopolymer stamps, there's a little bit of a margin of extra stamp around the edge, and so that actually allows for a nice little space in between each of the individual stamps. So you can do that, or if you wanted more, obviously more of a gap, you could, you know, stretch them out to whatever you wanted it to be. But I actually kind of like them when the stamps themselves are actually touching. So you line them up, space them however you want, make sure they're, you know, pretty flush against your And then another tip, especially if you're using like a plastic or an acrylic ruler, your stamps are going to cling to it. So once you line them up, don't try to pull your ruler away, because it will pull the stamps away with it, or one of the stamps or part of a stamp. The best approach is to lay them out the way you want them and then come in with your block. Hopefully yours is as filthy as mine. Come in with your block, and if you really want to make sure they're straight, you can line them up with one of the grid lines. If you have a block with the grids, or not, you can just press it down and pick them up, and then you can go ahead and ink them up and stamp them, and if all goes according to plan, they will be nice and straight. Now you're going to have to forgive me here, because I'm going to eyeball this on the card and try and stamp it in a straight line, so it might tilt to one side or the other, but the actual stamps themselves, I'm just going to slide this down so I can actually see over top a little bit. Ta-da! And I actually did a half decent job. It's kind of hard because I have the camera directly over this, so I'm trying to, without blocking the camera, get it stamped. So there you go. You can see that the stamps are the same height, and if you line them up with a ruler, it's very easy to get them to be nice and uniform so that you can stamp your labels in a straight line. Because there is that, like I talked about, that kind of that margin of extra stamp material that's around, you know, all of your photopolymer clear stamps, you can't get them to be solid, but it would be very easy if you stamped one and then, like, stamped happy and then got your birthday and inked it up, and, you know, you could line it up, eyeball it, or use a, you know, like a T-square ruler, and you could get them to actually touch so that it would look like one continuous label. Alright, so that's it. I'm not going to stamp any more out because I think it's pretty cut and dry. I think lining them up was really, you know, the thing I wanted to show you how to do the most. So there you go. So I'll show you the whole stamp set again. So it's called Everyday Labels and a Note. If you order from the release, your actual label here is going to be misspelled, and that's my error for not catching that when I was kind of proofing everything. Their Y in every is missing from here. So I'm well aware of it, and it's been fixed for the second running of the stamp. But it's just the actual label that says Everyday Labels, Copyright Neat and Tangled on the outside of your stamp. Not all of the images are fine. So there you go. So like I said, a really great kind of everyday set, has lots of your essential sentiments that you would use over and over again inside or outside of a card. And because they're all separated, all the individual words, you can combine them very easily to create a variety of sentiments. And so that's it for today. Be sure to stop by again every day the rest of the week to see videos and enter giveaways and see obviously the fabulous work of the design team, because they really always do a fabulous job with release. And be sure to stop by their blogs too, especially if you wanted to see specifics about how they made their cards. And so that's it for today, and thanks for stopping by, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.